Rachel's Table, a program of the Jewish Federation of Western Mass, has a mission of making sure those in need have enough to eat. Their work has no doubt been a challenge during the pandemic. In the last few months, they have served more than 25,000 people. I spoke with Jodi Falk, the director of Rachel's Table, to find out how they have stayed true to that mission and what their needs are moving forward.
Yes, when we first spoke, it was at the very beginning of the shutdown in Massachusetts and the very beginning of the pandemic. And so we did a 180 degrees switch with Rachel's Table. We're a food rescue organization. We run with 200 volunteers, and we bring food from various sources to our agencies who serve people who are food insecure. So, of course, the pandemic hits. We have 200 volunteers who mostly are over the age of 60 or even 70. We don't want them to get sick. We have a food supply chain that was broken, and people who are slowly becoming more and more unemployed, so an exponential need that is growing. So, of course, a perfect storm of something that was hard to handle. And so what we did was several things. So first of all, when I was on the show last, we talked about our renewed and expanded partnership with the Springfield Rescue Mission, and the Salvation Army, who had trucks who were more than willing to help pick up some of the donated food, the ones that were still donating because there were some restaurants that were shut down, and give it to themselves and other agencies. So we kept our food rescue program going, but without our volunteers, who we wanted to keep safe. Then we added several of our purchase programs we beefed up, and we added a healthy community emergency food program, which several wonderful donors helped with, varying levels, and we're still going with that because that has been providing consistently thousands of pounds of meat and produce to our agencies in Hamden, Hampshire, and Franklin counties. So that was a big push. We went from mainly donated to a lot of purchased food, and that was important because meat was hard to come by. So we did that. We also have been working with helping feed our frontline workers. That was also a program we initiated because we felt like here are people who are helping us, who are on the front line during this very scary time and very unpredictable time, and they deserve a thanks. And our way of thanking them is through food. And we've been doing various other, like feeding our families. We've been giving gift certificates to school systems to hand out to families who are low income. So we've been really trying to serve the growing need in various ways.
And how have individual families been able to actually access the food that you're talking about that's been coming in from different locations?
We have now about 53 agencies that we've been working with in all 3 counties that we serve. And those agencies, they're food pantries, so you can go to your local food pantry and receive some of the food that we have been delivering to them. Soup kitchens that are serving outside, curbside. And so you can go to any agency that's in your local community. And if you need to know where they are, you can certainly call us. Or call Project Bread, has a hotline for where the agencies might be located near you, and to find out.
And you were talking a little bit about some of the restaurants that have still been helping in the midst of this crisis, which is, just so impressive because this has been such a difficult time, for so many of these restaurants, many family owned, and yet still giving to frontline workers and others in the midst of this pandemic. Can you talk a little bit about some of that cooperation?
Absolutely. With every crisis, there are silver linings, and one of them is the level of cooperation and care that has shown up. So among those are some businesses that some restaurants that have been struggling, and who decided they would help donate. So they would donate food for our Feeding the Frontlines program. We've had a part of our Healthy Community Food Initiative was also using restaurant food and donating that to our agencies. So wonderful people like Bobby at the Kitchen in Long Meadow. There's some amazing people all along, also in Franklin County, Hope and Olive, wonderful restaurants who had to close and are just reopening now, curbside or opening outside seating. But they said, we need to come together during this time, and have supported our efforts and have supported other folks' efforts to feed frontline workers and to feed our agencies. It's pretty amazing.
And when you think about, you mentioned, more and more people have lost their jobs. Unemployment rate is 17% in Massachusetts. So this is not going anywhere for a while. Are you prepared as an agency and working with other agencies, and how long do you think you'll have to keep up, the intensity of this effort?
It's a great question. Obviously, no one in the beginning really saw the longevity of this, and to continue to sustain the kind of work we're doing is going to take some effort, but we're there. We're here for the long haul. We will continue the purchase programs, and one of the reasons I wanted to come back to talk with you is that we are re-entering volunteers in very, very safe procedures, so contactless delivery into the field. So we are looking for volunteers because there are certainly several of our very loyal, very wonderful volunteers who still feel scared to go outside. And I respect that. We all respect everybody's choice at this time. But we're looking for volunteers in all three counties that might want to do some contactless procedures and to help donate the food that needs to be rescued and given. We are all working together. We have a wonderful partnership with the Food Bank of Western Mass, and that will continue to grow, and we will be able to deliver food for them in many locations. That's also meat and produce. So how do we sustain ourselves? Massachusetts has been awesome in terms of coming together. Several of the food rescue programs, the food banks, all kind of working together to figure out how to meet the need in a sustainable fashion. It only works with teamwork, and that's what's been happening. So it's really, that's how we're going to do it together.
Have you been hearing at all from individuals who have been helped by what you're doing and the difference that it's making in their lives and the lives of their families?
So we have heard from, we hear mostly from the agencies who tell us some stories about people who are thanking them and who are saying that we wouldn't have been able to do this or feed our families at this time. We don't hear as much directly from individuals, but we are assured by the agencies and people that do work directly with individuals that without this food that we're delivering and that they're getting through the agencies, they wouldn't make it. And what we're hearing most of all is what you referred to. It's kind of heartbreaking, is that there's more and more people who are saying this, and some of those people were not used to being in a food line, in a pantry, or receiving meals at a soup kitchen. So there's a big sea change of who we're feeding and the range of folks that are needing help at this time, and to make sure that we don't stigmatize anyone at this ever anyway, but certainly there's more and more people who are needing and unfortunately will be needing the services that we provide.
And as you had mentioned, you're in it for the long haul, and you're prepared to keep going as long as it takes in the next several months?
Yes, we are. And we are looking at all the ways in which our operations have changed and need to sustain that change. Even with our normal operations, like we have a wonderful farm gleaning program, we will continue that, but we obviously have to have very strict safety procedures, more transportation that is a hired transportation rather than how it is now. There's lots of ways in which we're looking at our operational changes and how to sustain them. We're in a position where we can do that, which is great. And again, we are the one way to really help us sustain both short-term and long-term is to grow our volunteer base for those who, especially right now, are willing to drive their car, sit outside a food agency or food donor, have that food donor bring it to their car. That's the contactless procedure. Drive it to an agency, and then have that agency pick it up. That's our procedure right now. The person doesn't really have to get out of their car. They're wearing masks, gloves, etc. And as we grow the food donors that can do that and work with food donors individually, we will grow the food rescue program again. So we really are looking for more volunteers. You could be any age as long as you have a car and that you have a good license and a valid license. You can do it with a friend. You can do it with your family. Families are home at this time. I'm home with my family, and it's a good opportunity to, if you are in the position to do something, because we all want to do something, and you're in a position to give back, this is a great way to do it.